Yeah, I wrote the book Finding Male Sexuality because I realized after I had been introduced to Tantra and actually talked to some, elders and masters who understood, sex and women and Tantra and that type of thing, I realized that my understanding of sex was pretty infantile. Um, and the issue is that I felt I was very well versed in sexuality and what women want and what the possibilities of orgasm actually are and that type of thing. And I realized after I had this training and information and exposure that I really did not have a major understanding. And part of the reason why I was blocked in terms of really having that understanding is because of the male ego. So I think a lot of men, and especially for me, you go through a process where you convince yourself that you understand things and that you don't need any support or you don't need any further training or coaching, and you know that really just sets you up for failure. So it wasn't until I was like 37, 38 years old that I started to understand the possibilities of what sex could be for me, what sex could be for my wife, what the possibilities of orgasm were. That, climax is not just ejaculation, that men can have orgasms, that women can have expanded orgasms, and that type of thing. So after I had gone through that process and had a number of additional sexual experiences that kind of revealed where I was sexually and what my potential was, that's when I realized that I really needed to communicate this and write about this. You listen to women, women generally have like major complaints about men in terms of their lack of understanding of sex, their lack of understanding of anatomy, men just not understanding the basics, right? Like the importance of foreplay, like where and how a woman can actually get into sex. And so, based on what women are saying, based on, men having a really hard time in terms of pleasing women, men having a hard time just maintaining their sexual health. There's an epidemic right now of men suffering from erectile dysfunction, and that type of thing. So I decided to put my experiences into the book, Finding Male Sexuality, so that men could, learn from some of my experiences. I divide the book into two parts. Part one is just me talking about my sexual experiences with various women. And then part two is just me giving techniques, exercises, insights for how men can strengthen themselves sexually, how men can deal with erectile dysfunction and that type of thing. So I really wanted to share a lot of my experiences and things I feel could help men. And it's a very sensitive topic. Like, again, I could say for me, like, sex wasn't something I really wanted to talk about if I wasn't bragging about it. Like, being vulnerable and going to other men and saying, hey, tell me how to eat pussy, or tell me how to fuck a woman really good so that she orgasms every time, multiple times, things of that nature. It was difficult for me to do. And it's difficult for a lot of men to even talk about it. I mean, think about erectile dysfunction. If your dick is not working, you need to talk to people right away and not stay quiet about that. And I understand why men do. It's because, we believe that when women find out, they're going to stay away from us, or we'll become the laughing stock, or, we're in constant competition with other men. So we don't want to give away the fact that we're not as strong as we want to portray ourselves to be. But, the bottom line is men, because of accepting this masculine bravado of manhood, that concept, we find ourselves suffering and not receiving the help and support that we really need to be the best we can possibly be as men, as sexual beings, etc. So that was the premise behind the book. I really wanted to put some information out there that could help men improve their sexual life. After I received my tantra training and exposure, like, things went through the roof for me. Like, I was able to experience 5-10 times more pleasure during sex than I had before. I was able to get outside the pornography model of sex for men. the women that I am with, their pleasure, their level of orgasm, their level of feeling has gone through the roof. And, a lot of that's because I was able to, kind of tame my ego and really learn from people who had true skills, who understood the feminine, who understood the possibilities of what could be. So, yeah, I put that information in my book, and I was really glad I was able to get this second edition out with updated information and additional stories, because I think it could be really helpful for men.